He shoved my graduation cake right off the table. The frosting splattered across the flagstones. My 9-year-old nephew studied the wreckage, then shot me a grin. "Lick it off the ground, Aunt Chloe." A beat of silence, then the entire patio table erupted in laughter. My sister, his mother, smirked into her glass of Merlot, but it was my own mother who laughed the loudest, a sharp, brittle sound that sliced into me more deeply than any blade ever could. I didn't let a tear fall. I didn't let out a scream. I simply placed the cake server on the table, walked away from the chorus of their mockery, and got into my car. That evening, the text I had been unconsciously dreading my entire life finally arrived. It came from my mother. "We have decided to terminate all contact. Do not contact us again." My sister had loved the message. They thought they were casting me out. They believed they held all the cards. But they had overlooked one crucial detail. I was the co-signer for the loan on their house. I was the co-signer for my sister's SUV. They weren't just my family. They were, in a very real sense, my financial dependents. My fingers were rock steady as I composed a single, simple reply, removing my name from both loans tomorrow morning. By midnight, the wave of their panic began to crash. The group chat was a deluge. My phone screen became a strobe light of 100 missed calls. They were only just starting to grasp the reality of their situation. Before we get into the details, do me a favor and like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit me with a comment to let me know where in the world you're watching from. As the sun sank behind the Rockies, the string lights draped across the backyard began to cast a warm glow. The cool Colorado air settled in. The remnants of the barbecue had been cleared away, and now people were just lingering, drinks in hand. The tone of the laughter was changing. It was getting louder, but it had an edge to it now. This wasn't the sound of joy. It was the sound of a pack looking for a weak link. My strategy was simple: become invisible. I drifted around, collecting paper plates sticky with leftover salad dressing, gathering condensation-slick plastic cups, and pretending I couldn't hear the conversation at the main table. My mother, Diane, was nursing a glass of Chardonnay, recounting a confrontation with a neighbor, and I said to her, right to her face, she declared, her voice pitched high for dramatic effect, "If you can't manage your little mutt, you have no business owning a dog." My sister Jessica let out a cackle. "Oh my God, Mom, you actually said that?" "Of course I did." They were all gathered at the big wrought iron table. My father, Frank, sat at the head of it, his gaze lost in the flickering flames of the fire pit. He was physically present, but he wasn't really there. He never was. I was standing beside my cake, which sat on a wobbly card table in the corner, next to a bowl of what used to be ice. I picked up the small, elegant server, preparing to finally cut it. Maybe a slice of cake would soften them. Maybe food would make them kinder. "Hey, Aunt Chloe," a voice piped up. I turned to see my nephew, Leo. He was 9 years old and had my sister's same calculating eyes. He was looking at me with a smirk that was far too cynical for a child. "Hey, Leo, you want the first piece?" He scoffed. "Number. Cake is for people who are actually celebrating something." I froze, the server hovering over the smooth white icing. "This is a celebration, buddy. I graduated." Leo glanced over his shoulder at his mom, Jessica, who was watching the whole exchange. Her wine glass was paused halfway to her lips. She gave him a tiny, almost imperceptible nod. It was all the encouragement he needed. Leo turned back to me, raising his voice so the whole table could hear him. "Aunt Chloe, Mom says you only got that degree to make everyone else feel stupid." The backyard fell silent. I could hear the pop of a log in the fire pit. I locked eyes with Jessica. She didn't flinch. There was no apology in her expression. She just arched an eyebrow, a hint of a smile playing on her lips. And then my mother laughed. It was a thin, airy sound. "Oh, Leo," she said, waving a dismissive hand, "we don't say those things out loud." And with that, the floodgates opened. The entire table burst into laughter. It wasn't a chuckle, it was a full-throated, malicious roar. They laughed as if he'd just delivered the most brilliant punchline they had ever heard. I felt the warmth drain from my face. The server felt like it weighed 100 pounds. Every word he spoke was a tiny, sharp jab, and I knew he was just a puppet. He was a mouthpiece for Jessica's envy and my mother's casual cruelty. "That's not true, Leo," I managed, my voice barely a whisper. "Yeah, it is," he insisted, reveling in his role as the center of attention. "Mom said you think you're too good for us now. That's why you live all the way in Denver. You think you're smarter than us?" "Jessica," I said, my gaze fixed on my sister, "are you going to let him talk to me like this?" Jessica took a deliberate, slow sip of her wine. "He's just a kid, Chloe. Kids are honest. He's just saying what we're all thinking." My father said nothing. He just stared into the fire. I felt the sting of every single word. These weren't new injuries. They were the same old cuts I'd been collecting my entire life. The wound of being too much. The wound of being too sensitive. The wound of trying so hard, only to be accused of showing off. I looked down at the cake. It said, "Congratulations, Chloe," in blue script. I had bought it for myself. I knew they wouldn't bother. "You do think you're better," Leo pressed, stepping closer. His eyes were gleaming with a mean sort of excitement. And then he planted his small hands on the edge of the flimsy folding table. He shoved. The moment seemed to stretch, happening in slow motion. The table tilted. The cake slid, hanging suspended for a fraction of a second before it plummeted. It hit the flagstones with a sickening wet thud. Splat. White frosting sprayed across my ankles and the hem of my jeans. The little decorative blue swirls scattered across the dirty stone. "Congratulations!" Chloe was now an unreadable smear. A dead silence fell over the party. Then Leo looked from the mess on the ground to my face. A wide grin spread across his face. "Lick it off the ground, Aunt Chloe." The laughter that followed was even worse than before. It was wild, unrestrained. My mother threw her head back, her mouth wide open in a silent howl of a laugh. Jessica snickered into her hand. Their friends, people who had known me since I was a child, were all laughing. I stood there, flecked with the remains of my own graduation cake. I met my mother's gaze. She was wiping a tear of mirth from the corner of her eye. When she saw me looking, her laughter tapered off, but the smile remained. "Oh, for heaven's sake, Chloe," she said, her voice dripping with boredom. "Don't be so dramatic. It's just a cake. Leo was just being a boy." I looked at the silver server still in my hand. I thought about throwing it. I thought about screaming. I thought about bursting into tears. But all I felt was a profound, chilling emptiness. It wasn't sadness. It was nothingness. The part of me that had craved their love, the part that kept coming back for more, had just been extinguished. It was gone. I set the server down on the now empty, frosting-smeared table. I was wearing a little blue apron my mother had insisted I wear. "You're the designated cleanup crew," she'd chirped earlier. I reached behind my back and untied the strings. I pulled it over my head, folded it once, and placed it on an empty chair. Then I turned and walked. I walked past the table of laughing faces. I walked past my silent father. I walked toward the side gate of the yard. "Where do you think you're going?" my mother called after me. Her voice wasn't worried, it was irritated. "Chloe, don't you dare make a scene. We have guests." "The party's over," Jessica shouted, her voice laced with triumph. "The graduate is leaving." Their laughter was a ghostly echo that chased me all the way down the driveway. I got into my car. I turned the key in the ignition. I didn't cry. I didn't bother to wipe the frosting from my shoes. Something inside me hadn't just cracked, it had shattered. It was utterly, irrevocably broken, and I knew with absolute certainty that I was never coming back. The drive from Utah back to Denver is long. It's about 7 hours of stark, empty desert that slowly gives way to the dark silhouette of the mountains. I drove straight through the night. I didn't bother with the radio. The only sound was the steady hum of my tires on the asphalt. The engine's drone was my only companion. My phone was on the passenger seat, its screen dark. I'd switched it off the moment I left the party. I didn't want to hear it buzz. I didn't want to read the inevitable messages. The entire drive, my mind replayed the scene on a loop. I saw the cake falling. I heard Leo's taunt. "Lick it off the ground." I heard my mother's laugh. My entire life had been an exercise in trying to be good enough. I got straight A's. I never got into trouble. I went to a state university, then got my master's degree in data science. I was the reliable one, the stable one. Jessica was the exciting one. She was the one who made messes. She had Leo when she was 19. She married a guy who left her 2 years later. She was a constant whirlwind of drama, and they adored her for it. Her chaos made them feel necessary. My stability just made them feel inadequate. Every time I accomplished something, they took it as a personal affront. My success was a spotlight that illuminated their own perceived failures, and they resented me for it. I could see it all with a painful clarity now. It was never about me being too sensitive. It was about them being too cruel. I drove as the sun began to rise, the sky shifting from inky black to a deep violet, then to a pale, washed-out blue. By the time I crossed into the Denver city limits, the metropolis was just stirring to life. My apartment is modest, a studio in a charming old brick building. It's essentially one room, but it's my sanctuary. No one makes fun of me here. I climbed the 3 flights of stairs, the dried frosting on my shoes cracking with each step. I unlocked my door and stepped inside. The air was still and quiet. A light flurry of snow began to drift past my window, a soft, gentle Denver welcome. It felt like the city was glad to have me back. I kicked off my soiled shoes by the door, dropped my keys into the small ceramic bowl on my desk, and sat on the edge of my bed. I sat there for what felt like a long time, just watching the snowflakes melt against the glass. It was like they were washing the grime from the window. I wished they could wash me clean too. Finally, I reached for my phone. I powered it on. It came to life with a vengeance. A torrent of notifications flooded the screen. 19 missed calls. Mom, Dad, Jessica. 28 text messages. I didn't bother reading them all. I just scrolled to the last one. It was from my mother, posted in the family group chat. "We have decided to terminate all contact. Do not contact us again." I stared at the words. "We have decided." The royal we. That meant her and my father, who had sat there and said absolutely nothing. He just went along with it. He always just went along. Terminate all contact. It was so clinical, like a letter of termination from a job. They were firing me from my role as their daughter. Do not contact us again. This was their ultimate punishment. They genuinely believed I couldn't survive without them. They expected me to fall apart, to beg, to apologize for the scene I had supposedly caused. I looked at the message and then I saw it. Just below the text was a small, bright red heart. Jessica had loved the message. That single red heart was more painful than the cake. It was so simple, so final. It was my sister celebrating. She'd won. She had finally pushed me out of the family. She was the only daughter now, I stared at the screen, waiting for the tears, for the gut-wrenching pain to hit me, but it never came. There was just a profound, cold, quiet stillness. The kind of stillness that settles over a landscape after a violent storm has finally passed, leaving you standing in the wreckage. They thought they were punishing me. They had no idea they were setting me free. I read my mother's words one last time. Do not contact us again. Then a voice spoke from somewhere deep inside me. It was quiet, but it was clearer than anything I'd ever heard. It said one word. Enough. I was done. I was finally, completely done. I stood up and moved to my desk. I opened my laptop and the screen glowed to life with a screensaver of the Flatirons. I didn't cry. The time for tears was over. The stillness I'd felt from the text message was still there, but now it was mingling with something else. It was a cold, sharp clarity. It was anger. Not the hot, screaming kind of anger, but the kind that makes you see everything with perfect focus. I opened my budgeting spreadsheet. I'm meticulous with my finances. I have to be. I live in a city with a high cost of living. I have my own student loans, my rent, my car insurance. My spreadsheet tracked everything: rent, utilities, groceries, savings. And then there were two other lines. 2 payments I made without fail, every single month. Parents' mortgage contribution, $500. Jessica's SUV payment, $620. I stared at the numbers. 3 years ago, my parents were on the verge of losing their house. My dad's hours at the warehouse had been cut. They claimed they just needed a little help to get through a rough patch. Chloe, you're the only one we can turn to. My mother had wept over the phone. You're the stable one. You have that good job at Apex Solutions. I had just been promoted. I wasn't making a fortune, but I was proud of what I'd accomplished. It's just to get us over this hump, sweetheart, she'd said. It's just a signature. Family helps family. So I'd co-signed. I didn't just contribute. I put my name on the loan. I was legally on the hook, and for 3 years, I had paid $500 every single month. The hump never seemed to end. Then came Jessica. Her old clunker had finally died. She needed a safe car for Leo. That was the line they used. You want your nephew to be safe, don't you, Chloe? My mother had prodded. So I went with her to the dealership. She chose a massive silver SUV, fully loaded with a sunroof and leather seats. She had 0 credit. The bank practically laughed in her face. Please, Chloe, she'd whispered to me, her eyes welling up. I'll pay you back every month, I swear. My mother had placed a hand on my arm. Just co-sign, honey. It's just a signature. So I signed. And for the last 2 years, she hadn't made a single payment. The $620 was auto-drafted directly from my bank account every month. It was the only way I could protect my own credit score. I did the math in my head. $500 a month for 3 years. $620 a month for 2 years. I had given them. I quickly opened the calculator app. $500 times 36. Plus $620 times 24, $18,000 plus $14,880, total $32,880. I had paid them almost $33,000. I looked at the crusted frosting on my jeans. I thought about the trip to Cancun they took last winter. The photos were plastered all over Facebook. Jessica and Leo playing in the surf. My mother sipping a margarita. They work so hard, my mom had said at the party. They deserve a break. I paid for that break. I paid for Jessica's new designer handbag in the photos. I paid for the very party where they had laughed at me. I paid for the privilege of my own humiliation. I had always labeled it as love. I called it helping. I called it being the responsible daughter. But I was wrong. It wasn't love, it was a leash. As long as I was financially tied to them, I had to keep coming back. I had to take their calls. I had to endure their jokes. I had to swallow their abuse. The co-signature wasn't just a signature. It was a chain. They didn't just laugh at me. They laughed at the fool who was bankrolling their lives. The cold, quiet anger in my chest sharpened to a fine point. They wanted to terminate all contact. Fine. I opened my email client and started a new message. I typed in 3 email addresses: Mom, Dad, Jessica. The subject line was one word: financials. I didn't write, "Dear Mom." I didn't write, "I can't believe what you did." I didn't mention the cake or the text. I wrote 5 simple words: removing my name from all loans tomorrow. I stared at the sentence. It was clean, it was simple. It wasn't emotional. It was a statement of fact. My hand trembled slightly as I moved the cursor to the send button. We have decided to terminate all contact. Do not contact us again. The red heart. I clicked send. The email vanished into the ether. I closed my laptop. The click of the lid sounded deafening in the quiet apartment. I stood up and walked to the window. The snow was falling a little harder now, blanketing the city in white. I placed my hand on the cold glass. I took a deep breath. For the first time in my life, it felt like it was truly mine. I wasn't their daughter. I wasn't their sister. I wasn't their ATM. I was just Chloe, and I was free. I actually slept. I thought I'd be up all night staring at the ceiling, but I slept like a stone. It was the deep, dreamless sleep of someone who has finally set down a profoundly heavy burden. When I woke up, the morning sun was glinting off the fresh snow, filling my apartment with a bright, clean light. Then I saw my phone. It was on my nightstand, vibrating. The screen was a constant stream of notifications. It had been buzzing all morning. Missed call. Mom, 16. Missed call. Dad, 7. Missed call. Jessica, 12. Missed call. Unknown number, 4. Voicemail, 11. Text message. Mom, 27. I picked it up. I didn't unlock it. I just glanced at the text previews on the lock screen. Mom, what is the meaning of that email? Mom, you can't do this. Mom, Chloe, call me this instant. Mom, you are destroying this family. Jessica, you bitch. You are trying to destroy my life. Dad, Chloe, please call your mother. She is distraught. I scanned the messages for one word. I looked for the word sorry. I looked for we're sorry about the cake. I looked for I'm sorry for what I said. I looked for we didn't mean to cut you out. That word wasn't there. They weren't sorry they had hurt me. They were just furious that I was turning off the money spigot. The unknown numbers were likely their friends, enlisted as a flying monkey brigade. They were trying to intimidate me. I put the phone back down on the nightstand and switched it to Do Not Disturb. The buzzing stopped. The silence was glorious. I took a shower. I washed the party off me, scrubbing my skin until it was pink, letting the hot water cascade down my back. It felt like I was washing away years of their voices. I got dressed. I chose a crisp blouse and a pair of dark trousers. I put on the blazer I reserved for important meetings at work. It felt like I was putting on a suit of armor. I made coffee and drank it slowly, standing by my window, watching the city come alive. I grabbed my purse. Tucked inside was a large manila folder. I'd been collecting documents for months, not even consciously knowing why. It was just a feeling. Inside the folder were emails from my mother about the mortgage. Your father's paycheck is late again, Chloe. We need your $500 by the 1st. Inside were bank statements showing the $620 SUV payment being withdrawn from my account every month for 2 years. And I had printed the text message exchange from when my mother had asked me to just help sign for the house. I had texted her, "Are you sure this is just temporary?" Her reply was saved. "The house is ours, Chloe. You just helped with the signature. Don't worry about it." It wasn't a promise of temporary assistance. It was a declaration of ownership. My signature, their house. I had everything I needed. I left my apartment and walked to my car. I drove to Summit Crest Bank. It was a local bank, and the branch manager, a Mr. Harrison, had helped me open my first checking account when I moved to Denver. His office was quiet, with a ficus in the corner and photos of his grandkids on his desk. He was a kind-looking man in his late 50s with a calm demeanor. "Chloe," he said, shaking my hand. "Good to see you. What can I help you with today?" "I need to be removed as a co-signer from 2 loans," I said. My voice was steady. I was proud of that. He nodded. "Okay, that can be a complicated process. Typically, the primary borrower has to agree, or the loans need to be refinanced." "I don't think they'll agree," I said. I opened my folder and laid the papers out on his desk, the emails, the bank statements, the printed text messages. I told him everything. I told him about the party, the cake, and the text message from the night before. "We have decided to terminate all contact." He listened patiently, without interruption, his expression growing more serious as I spoke. He read the messages from my mother. He examined the bank statements. When I finished, he was quiet for a long moment, steepling his fingers on his desk. "Chloe," he said, his voice gentle but firm, "you are not the first person to be taken advantage of in the name of family, and I'm afraid you won't be the last." He picked up my mother's text. "The house is ours. You just helped with the signature." He nodded slowly. "This is what we call financial coercion. They told you one thing to obtain your signature, all while intending to do another." "Can you help me?" I asked, my voice small. "Everything we need is right here," he said, tapping the stack of papers. He picked up his phone. "We're not going to ask for their permission." He made 2 calls, speaking a language of finance I didn't fully understand. Release of liability, documented financial abuse, coercion at signing. He typed on his keyboard and printed out 2 forms. "This one is for the mortgage," he said, "and this one is for the auto loan. We are filing an immediate liability dispute. Based on your documentation, the bank will release you from these debts. It will then fall to them to either refinance or forfeit the assets." "You mean they'll have to pay for it all themselves?" "Yes," he confirmed, "starting today." I signed my name. My hand was perfectly steady. Mr. Harrison took the forms. He picked up a large, heavy rubber stamp, pressed it onto a black ink pad, and then brought it down on the first page. Thud. He did it again on the second page. Thud. The sound was quiet, but it was the most definitive sound I had ever heard. It was the sound of a lock clicking open. It was the sound of chains shattering. I let out a breath I felt like I'd been holding for 3 years. "You did the right thing, Chloe," Mr. Harrison said, gathering the papers. "Sometimes, protecting yourself is the only way to teach other people how to treat you. Or at the very least, it's the only way to protect yourself from their inability to." I stood up. "Thank you, Mr. Harrison. Thank you. You take care of yourself," he said, offering a warm smile. I walked out of the bank. The Denver wind was crisp and cold against my face, but my chest felt light. There was an ache, but it was a good ache. It was the feeling of a weight so immense I hadn't even realized I was carrying it, suddenly gone. I got to my car. My phone was in the cup holder. The screen was dark. I picked it up, turned off Do Not Disturb, and waited. It took less than 10 seconds. The phone lit up. It began to buzz and rattle so hard against the plastic that it sounded like an angry hornet. "Mom, Jessica, Dad, Mom, Mom, Mom." They knew. The bank had already contacted them. I watched it vibrate. I watched my mother's name flash on the screen over and over. The old me would have answered. The old me would have been racked with guilt. The new me just watched it ring and ring and ring until it finally went to voicemail. The wind howled outside, but inside my car, it was perfectly, wonderfully silent. I sat in my car, in the bank's parking lot. My phone continued its frantic dance in the cup holder, a trapped, buzzing thing. I watched my mother's name flash, Mom, Mom, Mom. Then it stopped. A moment later, a new call. Jessica. She let it ring 3 times, then hung up. Another second passed. Dad. He let it ring. He let it ring for a full 12 times before it went to voicemail. He was always the patient one, the one who tried to wait you out. I just watched, feeling nothing but a strange detachment. It was like watching a drama unfold on a screen, happening to someone else. They weren't calling to apologize. I knew that with absolute certainty. They weren't calling to say, Chloe, we're so sorry. We were cruel. Please come back. They were calling because the bank had called them. The bank had informed them that the free ride was over. The bank had told them that the daughter they had thrown away was the very person holding up the roof over their heads and paying for the gas in their car. I thought about the $32,880. I thought about all the things I could have done with that money. I could have a real emergency fund. I could have taken a trip. I could have bought myself a piece of art for my apartment. Instead, I had sent it all to Utah month after month. I sent it to people who laughed while my graduation cake lay ruined on the ground. The phone lit up again. Mom. This time I picked it up. But I didn't swipe to answer. I pressed the red decline button. It was the first time in my life I had ever done that. It felt foreign. It felt powerful. She immediately called back. I declined it again and again. On the 4th try, she gave up. A minute later, a text message appeared. Mom, you answer this phone right now. You have ruined us. Another text. Mom, the bank just called. What did you do? Another. Jessica, they are going to take my car. My car. Leo needs that car. You are a selfish, jealous monster. Another. Jessica, I hope you're happy. You finally got what you always wanted. You ruined my life. I read the words, jealous, selfish. They still didn't get it. They genuinely could not see what they had done. In their narrative, I was the villain. I was the one who had committed the ultimate betrayal. I started my car, the engine a quiet purr. I pulled out of the parking lot and merged into the normal midday Denver traffic. People were heading out for lunch. They were walking their dogs. The world was just going about its business. My world was imploding, but it was a silent implosion, contained entirely on the small glass screen in my hand. When I got back to my apartment, I made a cup of chamomile tea. I sat on my sofa and looked at my phone. 9 new voicemails. I took a sip of tea, letting the hot steam warm my face. Okay, I was ready. I pressed the first voicemail. It was my mother. Her voice wasn't calm. It was a high, thin shriek. Chloe, Chloe, you pick up this phone. You call me back this second. The bank called your father. They said you filed some abuse claim? What did you tell them? What lies did you tell them? You've destroyed our credit. You've destroyed everything after everything we've done for you. We gave you a life. The voicemail cut off. 30 seconds of pure, unadulterated rage. I felt nothing. I just hit delete. The second voicemail. Jessica. Her voice was low, seething with venom. So this is your little game. This is how you get your revenge. Because I'm prettier? Because Mom loves me more? You were always jealous, always. And now you've done it. They're going to take my SUV. How am I supposed to get Leo to his appointments? How am I supposed to live? You think you're so much better than us with your stupid degree and your stupid little apartment? You are nothing. You're a cold, empty nothing. I hate you. I hate you. I pressed delete. The third voicemail, my father. His voice was the one that almost got to me. It was quiet. He sounded exhausted. Chloe, honey, it's Dad. Listen, your mother she's very upset, and Jessica is too. I think you've made a terrible mistake here. You've made your point, okay? You're angry, we understand. But you can't do this. This is our home, Chloe. You're going to make us homeless. Is that what you want? Just call the bank back. Tell them it was all a misunderstanding. Then call us. We can sort this out. This is not how family behaves. This is not how family behaves. His was the worst betrayal of all. He was the one who had watched it all unfold, his entire life, and said nothing. His silence was the fertile ground where all this poison was allowed to grow. I deleted his message. The other 6 voicemails were just variations on a theme, them screaming my name or crying fake angry tears. I opened the family group chat. The last message was still my mother's. We have decided to terminate all contact. Do not contact us again. And Jessica's red heart. All the new messages were furious. You'll regret this. You are dead to us. You have no idea what you've just done. I looked at it all. The calls, the voicemails, the texts, the threats. I typed a single calm line and sent it to the group chat. I just stopped paying for people who laughed when my cake hit the floor. I hit send. Then I set my phone down on the coffee table. The silence that followed wasn't empty. It was full. It was the sound of a door being bolted shut. It was the sound of a storm finally breaking. I finished my tea. I opened my laptop and went to my phone carrier's website. I found the section for blocking numbers. I typed in my mother's number. Block. I typed in my father's number. Block. I typed in my sister's number. Block. My phone fell silent. It was no longer vibrating. It was just a black, quiet rectangle. It was the first real peace I had felt in my 29 years. For 3 days, there was silence. It was a strange, new kind of silence. It wasn't just quiet. It was an absence of drama, of anxiety, of waiting for the next text message that would make my stomach clench. I went to work. My job is at a small tech company called Apex Solutions. We develop logistics software. I'm a project manager. I'm good at my job. I'm organized. I enjoy seeing a complex plan come together successfully. At work, no one laughed at me. No one called me too sensitive. I had lunch with my friend Sarah. She's a UX designer at my company, with fiery red hair and a laugh that is always kind. "You seem different," she said over our salads. "Good different. Lighter." I hadn't told her everything, just a simple, "I'm setting some major boundaries with my family." "Good for you," she said. And she meant it. Boundaries are brutal, especially with family. "Let me know if you want to come over and watch terrible 80s movies this weekend." I smiled. I'd like that. I was building a new life, a quiet life. On the third night, I was at home. It was around 7 p.m., dark and snowing lightly outside. I was in my pajamas, curled up on my sofa with a book. My apartment was warm and cozy. Then I heard it. Boom, boom, boom. It wasn't a knock. It was pounding. Someone was hitting my door with their fists. My heart leaped into my throat. A cold dread washed over me. I knew instantly who it was. Boom, boom, boom. "Chloe, open this door. We know you're in there." My mother's voice. It was echoing in the stairwell of my quiet building. It was shrill and furious. I didn't move. I just sat on my sofa, frozen. Boom, boom, boom. "Chloe Miller, you open this door right now?" Then another voice. Jessica's. "Get out here, you coward. You think you can just hide from us?" They were here. They had flown from Utah to Denver. They had found my building. I live in a secured building. You need a key fob or to be buzzed in. They must have slipped in behind another resident. My hands were trembling. I put my book down. I slowly stood and crept to the wall next to my door, where my small video intercom was mounted. I pressed the view button. The small black and white screen flickered to life. I saw them. My mother, Diane, and my sister, Jessica. They looked terrible. Their faces were flushed and tight with rage. Their hair was damp with snow. They looked like two drowned, furious animals. Chloe, my mother's voice was so loud I could hear it through the solid wood of the door and the speaker of the intercom. You open this door, or I swear I will break it down. You ruined everything, Jessica shrieked. She was crying, but they were tears of anger. The bank froze our accounts. They froze my accounts. I can't even buy groceries. This is all your fault. My hand instinctively went to the doorknob. The old me, the old Chloe, wanted to open it. She wanted to make the yelling stop. She wanted to say, I'm sorry, let's just fix this. The guilt was a heavy physical presence in my throat, choking me. They're my family. They're out in the hall. They can't buy groceries. I put my hand on the cold metal knob, and then I remembered. I remembered the cake splattered on the ground. I remembered the sound of their laughter. I remembered lick it off the ground. They weren't here because they missed me. They weren't here to apologize. They were here because the money had stopped. I pulled my hand back from the doorknob. It was the hardest thing I had ever done. I looked at their distorted faces on the little screen. They were my family, yes, but they were also the people who had hurt me more than anyone else in the world. My home was my sanctuary. I had to protect it. I pulled my cell phone from my pocket, my hands shaking so badly I almost dropped it. I opened the keypad. I dialed 3 numbers. Denver Police Department. What is your emergency? Hello, I whispered, my voice raw. My name is Chloe Miller. There are 2 individuals outside my apartment door. They're pounding on it and screaming. They're refusing to leave. Are they armed, ma'am? I don't know. I don't think so. But they're yelling. I'm scared. Do you know them? I closed my eyes. This was the moment of truth. Yes, I whispered. They're my family. But today they're trespassing. We're sending an officer, Miss Miller. Stay on the line with me. Do not open the door. Make sure your deadbolt is locked. It was already locked. I just stood there, breathing shallowly, listening to the calm voice of the 911 operator on one end and the enraged screaming of my mother on the other side of the door. The minutes crawled by. It felt like an eternity. Then, through the intercom, I heard a new voice, a man's voice, calm but firm. Ma'am, you need to step away from the door. I looked at the video screen. A police officer was standing there. He was tall and broad-shouldered, a solid presence between them and my door. She's my daughter, my mother shrieked at him. We are here to see our daughter. Ma'am, I've been informed she does not wish to see you. You are on private property and you are causing a disturbance. You need to leave now. You can't make us, Jessica yelled. This is a family matter. This is a trespassing matter, the officer said, his voice perfectly even. You can leave on your own, or you can be escorted from the premises in handcuffs. The choice is yours. I watched my mother's face on the screen. It was a mask of pure, unadulterated humiliation. She looked at the officer. She looked at my closed door. She knew she had lost. Fine, she hissed. I watched them turn. The officer followed them as they walked down the hall and out of view. They left. They left under the calm, authoritative watch of a police officer. I stayed by the door for a long time, my legs shaking so hard I had to slide down to the floor. I was crying, but not from sadness. It was from relief. It was the terror finally leaving my body. I had done it. I had held the line. I opened the video recorder on my intercom. It had saved the last 5 minutes of footage. I saved the clip. I labeled it Boundaries, April 17, 2025. I had a feeling I might need it someday. The next morning, I woke up feeling hungover. I hadn't slept well, the sound of fists on my door replaying in my dreams. But I also felt clear. The air in my apartment felt different, truly and completely my own. I made coffee, my hands still a little unsteady. I was getting ready for work, craving a normal day. Then my phone buzzed. It was a text from Sarah. Sarah, hey, I don't want to upset you, but I think you need to see this. Some old neighbor from Utah just shared it. I'm so sorry. Below the text was a screenshot of a Facebook post. It was from my mother. She had posted a picture of herself, an old one from a family dinner where she was smiling, looking like the perfect matriarch. The post was a novel. It is with the heaviest of hearts, it began, that I have to write this. Sometimes the child you trust the most, the one you give everything to, betrays you in the most unimaginable way. Our daughter, Chloe, has decided to destroy us. Out of pure spite and jealousy towards her sister, she has told vicious lies to our bank and has ruined her parents' credit. I had to sit down. The coffee cup was still in my hand, but I couldn't drink. We are utterly heartbroken, the post continued. Your father and I may lose our home. Jessica may lose her car, the only way she has to get our sweet grandson Leo to his doctor's appointments. We have always loved Chloe, even when she was difficult and cold. We paid for her college. We supported her move to Denver. And this is how she repays us, by trying to make her own family homeless. We are sharing this so our friends and family know the truth. Please pray for us, and please pray for Chloe, that she one day learns the meaning of gratitude and family. I scrolled down, dozens of comments. An old neighbor, Diane, I am so sorry. I always knew she was a thankless child, so stuck up. A distant aunt, this is monstrous. Poor Diane and Frank, you gave her everything. One of my mom's friends, Jessica is such a devoted mother. Chloe should be ashamed. Some people just have no gratitude. Comment after comment. Ungrateful, selfish, spoiled, poor Diane. I felt a hot flush of shame creep up my neck. My first instinct was to fight back. I wanted to comment. I wanted to post my bank statements. I wanted to write, you didn't pay for my college. I have $60,000 in student loans. I paid for your house. I paid for her car. I wanted to post the audio of Jessica's hateful voicemail. I wanted to post a picture of the cake on the ground. My fingers trembled over my phone, ready to type, ready to defend my name. And then I stopped. Who was I trying to convince? These people, these old neighbors and distant relatives who had watched me grow up? They had all been at the parties. They had all seen how I was treated. They saw me clearing plates while Jessica was lauded like a princess. They heard the jokes, and they had said nothing. They were part of the same dysfunctional system. They were my mother's audience. This post wasn't for me. It was a performance for them. My mother was casting herself as the martyr, and every martyr needs a villain. I was the villain. The old me would have been shattered by this. The old me would have spent days, weeks trying to fix it, trying to win back the approval of people who never truly cared for me in the first place. The new me just felt tired. I put my phone down. The truth doesn't need to be shouted. It just needs time to breathe. I took a deep breath. I finished my coffee. I opened my laptop, but I didn't go to Facebook. I opened my work email and sent a short, professional message to my team and my boss, Maria Shaw. Subject, personal matter. Hi team, a private family issue of mine has unfortunately been made public. You may see some rumors about me on social media. I will not be commenting on them, but I wanted to make you aware in case you came across it. I've learned that setting boundaries often upsets those who benefited from my lack of them. My focus remains, as always, on my work here. Thank you for your understanding. Best, Chloe. I hit send. It wasn't a defense. It wasn't an explanation. It was a boundary. I went to work. I was nervous, walking into the office feeling as if everyone was staring at me, as if they had all seen the post. No one said a word. My team had our morning stand-up meeting. We discussed a software patch. My boss, Maria, asked for my opinion on a new project timeline. Ben, one of the engineers, made a bad joke about decaffeinated coffee. It was just normal. Later that day, I got an email back from my boss. It was just one line. Chloe, thank you for the heads up. Your professionalism is appreciated. Let me know if you need anything at all. That was it. I realized, sitting at my desk, that my life in Denver was real. My job was real. My friends were real. My family's drama was just a story they were telling to an audience I had already left behind. I closed my laptop at the end of the day. The truth didn't need me to fight for it. I was done living for their approval. A few days later, the Facebook post disappeared. Sarah texted me, "Hey, the post is gone. Looks like the trash took itself out." I smiled. I checked, and she was right. It was simply gone. I wondered why. Maybe someone who knew the real story had called my mother out. Maybe a relative with a rare shred of conscience. Maybe my father, in an uncharacteristic moment of courage, had told her to stop. Or maybe, and this felt far more likely, the consequences had finally become tangible. Maybe the bank had officially begun foreclosure proceedings on the house. Maybe the repo man had come for Jessica's giant silver SUV. When the narrative shifted from Chloe is mean to I am actually losing my house, the public's sympathy probably evaporated. It's easy to play the victim online. It's much harder when the tow truck is backing into your driveway. And then I realized something. It didn't matter. It didn't matter why she took it down. The only thing that mattered was the silence. The noise had finally stopped. The real turning point arrived a week later. A letter came in the mail. It was in a thick, cream-colored envelope with the Summit Crest Bank logo on it. My heart did that familiar cold flip of fear. What now, I thought? Did it not work? Are they suing me? Did Mr. Harrison make a mistake? My hands were not steady as I tore open the envelope. It was a single sheet of heavy, official-looking paper. It wasn't a lawsuit. It wasn't a summons. It was a letter. Dear Ms. Chloe Miller, this letter is to confirm that as of May 1st, 2025, you have been fully and legally released from all financial liabilities concerning the joint mortgage account and the vehicle loan account under the names of Diane and Frank Miller and Jessica Miller, respectively. Our investigation, based on the documentation you provided, confirmed a release of liability due to financial coercion. You are no longer considered a co-signer or responsible party for these debts. We wish you the best in your financial future. Sincerely, Mr. David Harrison, Branch Manager, Summit Crest Bank. I read it once. I sat down on the floor in my entryway and read it again. Fully and legally released. No longer responsible. I ran my fingers over the paper. It was real. It was stamped. The bank's seal was embossed at the bottom, shimmering under the hall light. It was done. It wasn't just me feeling free. It wasn't just me blocking their numbers. This was a piece of paper from the world, from the system, that said, "You are free." I put the letter on my kitchen counter and just stared at it. It looked like peace. It looked like the final heavy chain had crumbled to dust. That night, I did something I hadn't done in 3 years. I opened my budgeting spreadsheet. I looked at the 2 lines. Parents' mortgage contribution, $500. Jessica's SUV payment, $620. Total, $1,120 a month. My hand was on the mouse. I clicked on the first line. I hit the delete key. It vanished. I clicked on the second line. I hit the delete key. It was gone. The total at the bottom of my spreadsheet suddenly had an extra $1,120 in it. I stared at that number. That was my money. For the first time, it was all mine. I opened a new line in my budget. I titled it, My Future. I put the $1,120 into it. The old me would have been consumed with guilt. The old me would have worried, are they okay? Are they homeless? The new me just felt quiet. I had given them nearly $33,000. I had given them my childhood. I had given them my self-respect. I had nothing left to give, and I had nothing left to feel guilty about. My phone buzzed. It was my friend Ben. "Hey," I said, answering it. My voice sounded normal. "Hey, Chloe. Me and Sarah are ordering pizza and watching a god-awful sci-fi movie. Want to come over?" I looked at the letter on my counter. I looked at the new, clean budget on my screen. "Yeah," I said. "I'd love to. I'll bring dessert." I hung up. I put on my shoes. I grabbed my keys. I walked out of my apartment into the cool Denver night, and I didn't look back. Weeks turned into months. The noise faded completely. No more block calls lighting up my screen, no more texts from unknown numbers, no more flying monkeys or dramatic Facebook posts, just silence. The silence felt strange at first, almost empty. I had spent my entire life on high alert, waiting for the next crisis, the next demand, my mother's disapproval or my sister's drama. Without that constant background static, I had to figure out who I was. I poured myself into my work. I focused on my small, good life. I started leading a major new project at Apex Solutions. It was complex and challenging, and I loved every minute of it. One afternoon, my CEO, Maria Shaw, stopped me in the hallway. She's a tall, sharp woman who never wastes a word. "Chloe," she said, a faint smile on her face, "your team just delivered the new build 2 days ahead of schedule." "We have a great team," I said. "You're a great leader," she replied. "You lead with steadiness. People trust that. It's a rare skill. Keep it up." I just looked at her, stunned. Steadiness. My whole life, my family had called my steadiness boring. They called my quiet nature cold. They called my responsibility bragging. Here, in my real life, it was a skill. It was my greatest strength. It was the first time I'd ever been praised for who I inherently was, not for what I could do for someone else. I built a new family. My friends Sarah and Ben became my real family. We had Thanksgiving at Ben's apartment. We cooked a turkey that was a little too dry and laughed until our sides hurt. There was no drama. No one insulted anyone. No one's kid threw the pumpkin pie on the floor. We had Christmas at Sarah's, drinking mulled wine and exchanging small, thoughtful gifts. I slowly filled my life, not with surviving, but with living. I went hiking in the mountains. I read books for pleasure. I saved my money. That $1,120 a month went straight into my Future account. After a year, I had over $13,000 saved. It was my security. It was my freedom. I was happy. It wasn't a loud, performative happiness. It was a quiet, steady happiness. Then, a year to the day after I had walked out of that bank, my phone buzzed. It was a text from a number I didn't recognize, but I knew who it was from. "I'm sorry for everything." Just 4 words. No excuses. No explanations. It didn't say, "I'm sorry, but..." It didn't say, "Mom made me..." It was just, "I'm sorry for everything." I knew it was from Jessica. I sat on my sofa looking at the message, the same sofa where I had read my mother's Facebook post, the same room where I had heard them pounding on my door. I thought about answering. What would I even say? Thank you? I forgive you? It's too late? I wondered why she was texting me now. Maybe she was in therapy. Maybe she had grown up. Or maybe her life was just hard now. Maybe they had lost the house. Maybe she was driving a 10-year-old beater. Maybe she needed money. Maybe this was the first step in asking for money again. The old me would have been torn. The old me would have seen this as an opening, a chance to finally fix my broken family. The new me just felt a faint, sad smile touch my lips. I set the phone down. I realized that forgiveness isn't what I always thought it was. Forgiveness, I understood now, doesn't always mean reopening the door. It doesn't mean you have to let them back into your life. It doesn't mean you have to forget what happened. Sometimes forgiveness is just letting go. It's not for them. It's for you. It's the final act of unhooking them from your heart. Sometimes forgiveness is locking the door gently and walking away in peace. I picked up my phone again. I didn't text back. I just deleted the message. Outside my window, the city lights of Denver glittered. The sky was a deep, clear indigo. It was beautiful. I looked at my reflection in the dark glass. I saw a woman who was quiet, a woman who was steady, a woman who was finally safe. I whispered to my reflection, "Welcome home, Chloe."